Thank you so much for joining the Wild and Precious Life series tonight. I am glad that you are here or watching this on YouTube. Before we get started, I want to do a plug to Converse University, which you can see on my hat. Their priority application and scholarship deadline is approaching on October 1st. I had the crazy idea to get an MFA at 40. I don't know why. I don't like homework, but I am enjoying myself. And so I just want to promote Converse because I've had a hell of a first semester and thoroughly enjoyed it. And compared to other MFA low residency programs, it is affordable and the professors are amazing. So check it out at converse.edu/MFA. And this is just a plug from my heart. I'm not getting paid or anything like that, which that was a thing. I mean, I'll totally promote low res programs for some money, but that just comes from the heart. Please check it out if you are interested. If you have questions from a student's perspective, I am happy for you to email me or slide in my DMs on social media. So that I am going to introduce our first reader. If you've been to the Wild and Precious Life series, you know I do not do traditional bio intros. That's not my thing. I find things online that resonate with me and I share those just in case it's your first time and you're like, what in the hell is this homo doing? That's just how I roll. So, Alex, I'm not taking you back very far. I'm just actually taking you back to spring of this year. You were asked in an interview, what's the one thing you wish you knew when you were younger? And I find myself getting more sentimental as I age. My dad says it only gets worse. And this just really touched me. So I'd like to read your response as your intro. The people who will matter will be the people who will try to stay in your life for the better. The people who mock you and make your life miserable will disappear into the ether someday, and you'll never have to think about them again. Those who matter will stay by you and make sure you're okay. And you can always find more people who will support and love you, and they will show that in the ways you may never expect. Thank you so much for being here tonight. The screen is yours.
Wow, that's not going to match what I'm reading at all tonight. Thank you. So, for those who don't know me, I'm Alex Carrigan. I'm a poet, a critic, an editor from Alexandria, Virginia. I am most known for creating poetry out of the social media accounts of reality TV figures. So, last year, I published my first chapbook with Alien Buddha Press. It's called May All Our Pain Be Champagne. Every poem in here was created from the Twitter accounts of 16 current and former Real Housewives. So I'll do this up top. I have so many content warnings throughout this reading. Foul language is probably going to be in most everything, but I will have specific ones. So just be warned, this is going to be a really weird segment. The first piece I'm going to read is from one who was in the news quite recently, mostly due to a very bizarre classist attack towards some random TJ Maxx cashier. This is from Bethany Frankel's Twitter account. This is Bethany Frankel gives a TED talk to her stuffed animals. Additional content warnings for COVID references and drug references. I've learned so much and seen so much waste, BS, branding, and rubber chicken charity dinners. You can be surrounded by people and miserable and totally solo and peaceful. I've spent Thanksgiving solo before, and it was peaceful and a time for reflection. One year I did yoga and watched TV. Another year I jumped in the cold ocean. Don't get too attached to the marketing of a day. Is Mercury in retrograde? Because this week has been a shitstorm. Anyone else? Something was in retrograde today. Whatever it is, I kindly ask that it move forward tomorrow. I've been slipping away from other areas of entertainment, maybe watch TV from this decade. There is a whole wild world of entertainment with actually funny people. Like watch Handmaid's Tale. Watch season 1. I'm telling boring dental stories because we have to be educated. People can really take you down the wrong road, and I don't want this to happen to you. I can explain it to you, but can't understand it for you. Also, I guess we aren't even discussing that it's a pandemic with people sandwiched next to each other. You can choose your own adventure with this pandemic. It's like hide and seek. This is how true business people respond to a crisis. I'm not a celeb who panics in fear of cancellation. Well, because I didn't say something precisely how you needed to hear it. Nominate me for cancellation. There are like 5 others before you, so take a number. But what's really important in this world is what Mickey Mouse messaged Donald Duck, who told Goofy, and then Minnie chimed in to give her thoughts on the matter. Explain the story in greater detail. I want to hear it. I snorted melatonin an hour ago. What's supposed to happen? Can you please email info@bethany.com? It's horrific. All right. So this next piece I'm going to read from the book. As far as I know, this is the one person in here who knows this book exists, has confirmed to me she's read the poem, and may in fact own a copy, mostly because I chased her down at a family hotel. This is from Potomac housewife Mia Thornton. Mia Thornton flipping through an inspirational quotes coffee table book. So, and aside from language, this one also has sexual references. Hey, Zaddy, repeat after me. I am powerful. I am unlimited. It's too exhausting trying to keep up with the negativity. That's not how I got to where I am today. I'm trying really hard to be bothered. Keyword, try. Been through too much to care about anything other than my paper. I'm sorry you're so bothered. I own 8 companies. Stripper passed and I still have more class. Imagine that. Out of respect to all the ladies who work in strip clubs, the correct term is entertainer. This is what's listed on my resume. Working on my choice of words. Finally, someone who understands the hustle. I still can't believe I swung my long ass legs around that darn pole 11 times. Actually, the club did have a valet. And yes, my car was parked for me every shift. Yes, I get driven. And no, I don't open my doors. At the end of the day, I never forget where and how far I have come. I didn't come this far to only come this far. Nothing has changed, just more people know me now. We all have the same 24 hours each day. It's what and who we allow our space in our spaces that dictates our future. Thank you for coming into my space. Such positivity all day. We don't do nasty drama. Thank you, sis. I'm honestly doing the best I know how, and I appreciate you. All right. So Real Housewives of Salt Lake City just started, and one person on that has been getting a lot of crap on social media for how she has been saying just anything. So I thought I would read from when she was last, legible. This is Meredith Marks, visited by 3 ghosts before signing her contract, and content warning for cyberbullying. Stop trying to paint me as an out of control, hysterical woman to justify your wrongdoing. I'm not the fake of the group. Isn't that the truth? But I can tell you with 100% certainty it is not me. It is not tea as it is not true. Just slander, lies, and defamation of character. I may not be great at catching fish, but I can catch the lies. Don't take the focus off what's important at this moment. You see clips of moments and not the full thing. I love when people who do not even work in my industry think they know more about my job requirements than I do. Keep watching. You will see that it is addressed. Facts. My child received threatening text messages. I hired an investigator to look into the threatening text. I did not investigate a person. Maybe ask if my child is okay instead of weaponizing me being a good mom against me. I love when somebody who is not a mother tells me how to mother my children. Maybe you should have the experience before you dictate to others how they should do it. Some people are so ignorant. It can be infuriating. Can people coexist in the same friend group, be kind and respectful to each other, and just leave it at that? I am protecting myself from the combative energy that seems to always happen with this group. I am tired of being yelled at and spoken to in a contentious manner and choose to disengage. At least someone other than me pronounces Louboutin right in this group. So happy to hear that. I will for sure spend a little time in the bath today. It's time to disengage and go on autopilot. I am 100% in favor of moving forward and being cordial. No problem with that at all. And the last one from this chapbook, at least tonight, comes from another Potomac housewife. I'm in the Potomac area. They are the most represented in this book. This is from Giselle Bryant. This is Giselle Bryant restarting the first page of her memoir for the 78th time. Hello and good morning. As you know, I am so not about drama. Let me help you stay drama-free this season as an anti-drama expert. Get ready, take notes, so you don't forget your point. Mother-in-laws know that the reign over their son's life is coming to an end, so they royally act up. You gotta ride the wave, be extra nice when they are mean, and that sends them into a tailspin. Ah! Let me tell you, teens can sometimes be the worst. When they are, I just kill them with kisses, and they hate it. But it makes them stop being moody over whatever their teenage drama is for the day. But that's not fun now, is it? It's time to prank Wendy. Here come the snakes and spiders. The critters were everything. Wendy has now been initiated. Ashley and Dean are connected at the hip. Set a meetup and lie to both of them so they don't know the other's coming. Have shots ready at the table. Hate seeing Ashley still struggle. Postpartum is real. I love Robin's mom getting the tea on IG. Wow, now this is drama. It goes down in the DMs. She never fails to spill all tea. Candy Pants got a whole bop and a record deal. Is Candice mooing? Are they singing or just making pies? Had to add some fun shade. I tell no lies. Messy, but good on the inside. 100 episodes? Wow, what a wild ride. Much love and appreciation to all of you who love the show. May all our pain be champagne. All right. So once I reached pretty much the depths of Real Housewives Twitter, I thought, oh, okay, let's expand on this concept. What other poetry can I make out of social media? What's another reality franchise that I can go through? And I found the solution in the fandom, well, in the figures from RuPaul's Drag Race. And that resulted in my first full-length collection, published this year from Corinthia Press. Now let's get brunch. So there are 40 poems in this from 40 queens across the franchise. All right, the first one, I will continue the content warnings. This one contains foul language, as pretty much everything in this book, especially, and drug references. This comes from Candy Muse. This is Candy Muse sitting alone in the Black Lodge. Took an edible, ladies. I'm having revelations. Fashion is art, and art is subjective. I can wear the most beautiful outfit in the world made by the hands of God himself, and people would still be up in arms. I felt and looked amazing last night, so the opinions of you and every other bundle of sticks that wears matching sets from ASOS really does not matter. Please stop messaging venues saying we're cousins so you can get in for free. Bitch, wait till I get my hands on you. I mean, come on. That face? Apology videos with tears now. That's the joke, bitch. Another standing ovation. I'm trying to put the House of Aja back on the map. Y'all, I've been craving a Korean corn dog for the longest time now. No, I've never had them, but they always look so good. Am I talking too much, or are y'all not talking enough? Girl, what the hell? This edible's kicking my ass today. What are we doing today? All right. This next piece in the book, excuse me, I had intended it to, be about the person, but it ended up being, half of the poem ended up being a poem about Britney Spears. So this comes from famed Britney Spears impersonator Derek Barry. Derek Barry nails his thesis to the door of the Church of Britney. I'm so excited for this new Britney Spears era. Britney's voice is finally being heard loud and clear all over the world. Some pop stars never incorporate a kick and or splits, but Britney Spears was out there doing a high kick with her left leg while pregnant with her second baby. One of the many reasons she'll remain my favorite. Look how beautiful she was pregnant. I hope Lifetime is finally rethinking the Britney movie they made. If Piers Morgan interviews Britney Spears, hopefully he can start off with an apology for being part of the media problem in 2008, which was also the year she was put into a conservatorship. I will always be #Team Britney, and one day it'll be your turn. Success starts when quitting is no longer an option. Success is figuring out a way to make money while you sleep. I love my job. Whenever I'm tired, I feel like I can't perform or need a day off. I remind myself that I moved to Vegas when I was 20 years old to perform 6 nights a week in a 6-month contract. Performing for a living is exactly the life I wanted out of high school. I'm still doing what I love. Last night, I fell asleep smiling, and it felt so good. Try it. All right, so the next one, wherever it is, comes from Trinity the Tuck, and major content warnings for this one. This one not only has foul language, but also has a lot of references to cyberbullying and mental health. This is Trinity the Tuck pumps up her spirit and her lips. Actually, I'm gonna need a drink for this one. Good morning, world! In the words of Faye Dunaway as Joan Crawford in Mommy Dearest, now let's get to work. Baby, if you don't got thick skin, don't try out for Drag Race. These kids are nasty to the girls in the comments. Haters aren't buying tickets to the show of people they hate. They aren't buying merch. They aren't supporting them. It's completely okay to block toxic people out of your life, be it social media or actual reality. You don't owe anyone who's negative towards you anything. It's your life and your mental health. And if it's better for you, then block away. Why are you commenting on my shit when you don't follow me? Go spread your BS somewhere else. I swear, y'all come out of the woodwork just to be negative. Hate your life elsewhere. Calm your puss. Can we as a community stop questioning how people feel? That's how they feel. And so there isn't a debate about it. Life should be a fantasy. Reality sucks, lol. Girl, thank gay God for the block button. Some of these people are so annoying and so entitled. No, you don't get to say whatever you want and then expect anyone to not react to it. Bitch, you are dumb. Block. Don't at me. Block. You are a POS. Trinity the block continues. Every person I block, I get younger. I'm feeling great today. And to close out my section for tonight's reading, we have one content warning free piece. This is Shea Coulee armors up for her next slang. I love how in 30 seconds on this app, I can be incredibly informed, incredibly entertained, and incredibly confused. Some of y'all MFs are too damn smart on this bird app. I need a dictionary and thesaurus just to understand some of y'all's tweets. Like, I had to look up neologism on a Saturday morning. I don't even know what's real anymore. Everything's cake. I'm tickled when queens who I know have auditioned for RPDR several times make a point to publicly let everyone know that they don't watch the show. The girls really be going for it at the brunch gigs. And I see this as someone who had to audition 5 times to get cast. There's nothing wrong with rejection. Success requires determination. Making your dreams come true doesn't happen overnight. It takes hard work. So roll up them sleeves, gal, and get to it. You better let them know, Jackie. Damn, bitch, what a week. Worked really hard, but I'm so grateful that I get to wake up every day and do what I love. Now let's get brunch. All right, thank you all so much.
Thank you so much for that. I'm going to ask our next reader to unmute, Candice Kelsey. And Candice, for your introduction, I actually stumbled across a review for your latest book, The Poet Dreams of Driving a Ding-a-ling Ice Cream Truck and Other Means of Escape, in Sunday mornings at the river. And while the reviewer is, talking, of course, about the poems in this book, I found a lot of the things that they're discussing, some of the comments on your poetry really is a good representation of a lot of your work and not just this book. So I wanted to share an excerpt from what this reviewer said. Kelsey's poems traverse various dimensions of escape, inviting readers to delve into the delicate balance between the yearning for respite and the beauty found in life's moments. At first glance, pieces like Ode to Sleeping in My Mascara, An Epiphany, or Checking Her Face in the Rearview Mirror at a Red Light may seem lighthearted, but they carry subtle social commentaries that surprise and delight. These verses demonstrate Kelsey's ability to interweave everyday experiences with deeper insights, making each poem a rich tapestry of emotions and thoughts. Thank you so much for being here tonight. The screen is yours.
Thank you so much, Dustin. So great to be here. Alex, that was a delight. This first poem comes from my chapbook with Cherry Dress Press called Choose Your Own Poem, where at the end of each poem you have a choice like the old adventure books. So I'm going to start here with a poem I wrote in response to a Christian pastor on Twitter who was giving advice to Christian wives how to be more sexually appealing to their Christian husbands, and it didn't sit right with me. So I've interwoven some of the advice this person gave into this poem. This is called The Cave of Misogyny, or Tips to Improve the Sex Lives of Christian Husbands. Vibratory signals and pheromones mediate the reproductive behavior of stink bugs. Cultivate sexual responsiveness. The brown marmorated stink bug wears a decorative shell adorned by 2 large eyes and red ocelli. Dress femininely. During diapause, the female congregates in warm, tight crevices like the folds of curtains, her period of suspended development. Practice covering offenses with grace. The appetite is voracious, show respect. Foraging relentlessly, it leaves insufferable devastation across orchards and forests. Never walk around with a scowl. While an infestation can derail the emotional tone of a home, there are tips to deter these insects from invading and making it a place of anxiety, not peace. And tips if they are already inside. Both include observing, caulking, isolating, and vacuuming. The Christian husband must combat bitter femininity with joyful masculinity, observing the wife's frumpy attire, caulking her frowns into a whole lot of smiles, isolating her sexual agency, vacuuming boundaries and expectations. The other option is to squash them. The eponymous stink, like rotten cilantro, also helps with mating. The choice there is, if you choose to smile more, you turn to a certain page. And if you choose to escape all oppressive systems, you get to turn to a different page. Okay, so one more from this collection. With the beautiful new live action version of Ariel and all the ridiculous controversy of people not liking it, I really wanted to focus in on Prince Eric, which has always bothered me. People have always, I've met people who think Ariel is a terrible princess because she disobeys her father, and I'm kind of like, okay, yeah. And let's talk about Eric. So here's a villanelle I wrote: Return to Atlantis, or Villanelle for Ariel. You stuck your foot out and tripped Eric hard, stepping on him and pulling his famous hair. You really caught that mediocre prince off guard. Shoved shells down his, what's that word? Throat. Face in the sand, he gasped for air. You stuck your foot out and tripped Eric hard. Just another creation of the Danish bard Ariel. Hans Christian Andersen laid you bare. Still, you caught that fucking prince off guard. Other mermaids give his smile high regard. Think his old English sheepdog quite debonair. You stuck your foot out and tripped Eric hard. You get it. Lose the Ashman and Mencken canard, and he's just another big-eyed Nepo bairn. You really caught that mediocre prince off guard. You'll ride on flotsam and jetsam securely barred. Like Triton, he'll blow his own shell in despair. You stuck your foot out and tripped Eric hard. Let's catch every mediocre prince off guard. So next, I think I'll read from my first full-length collection, which is called Still I Am Pushing. And this is with Finishing Line Press. I'm going to read Toward an Arctic Circle. There are lines my mother and I cross, borders we step past, where flesh and bone meet cranberry and club moss, outside the truth I like to call our lower 48. We paddle, sometimes motor, up the Wild Salmon River toward the boreal forest I know as the northern limits of mother and daughter. Like today, when she texted, I'm watching Dr. Phil, between Caribou and Birch. And now I realize I involved you in adult issues when you were just a teen. Forgive me, please. I mark time to the rhythm of the great Kobuk dunes while she inhales the onion portage, its naked chive growth glowing like the screen of my phone. I'm watching the white ruffs chalk caribou bulls' noble antlers. I read their autumn pelage verse and succumb to my marrowed guilt for hesitating to accept this apology, not because she's 30 years late to this continual night of dwarf shrub silence, but simply because her epiphany came from an unlicensed tabloid psychologist who peddles failed weight loss potions. I know now we've gone too far. These dunes, a desert mirage, warmth, mere ice age relic, so I tell it, 35 miles north of us, this place I call our Arctic Circle. a lot of my poems do deal with a strained relationship with my mother, who has borderline personality disorder. And so there's a lot to write about there if anyone can relate to having relationships with somebody with that struggle. This is a little more lighthearted. This deals with more of the struggle of marriage. At the Cheesecake Factory, he may have wanted the steak fries, but he definitely ordered sweet potato fries. The server repeated it, sweet potato fries? And he nodded yes. But when they arrived, upright like the tentacles of a sea anemone, that rough barnacled hull of his face sunk. I thought he was unhappy with me. The woman whose heart, like a Spanish doubloon, he lost the rainy 1st of January. Me, the woman who wears his grandmother's ring, 16 years now, tiny diamond specks his little grandma from the Great Depression. I'm the woman who gave him 3 perfect pine timber children, now standing like masts, like the server behind him who returned with ketchup, who confirmed he did, in fact, order the sweet potato fries. We don't even have steak fries. The salt she tossed into his wound. He straightened his back as if a captain at the helm facing down a squall, and confirmed for all to hear that I did order the steak fries, then scowled at me for the archipelago of mistakes I make, like tonight in this half-moon bay where I eat in silence. And then I'll just read a couple from my Alien Buddha Press full length, A Girl, a Woman, a Teacher, a Poet. This piece comes from my kind of obsession with Michelle McNamara, who she kind of wrote a study of the D'Angelo, the Golden State Killer that they caught a few years ago. And her book was not completed yet, but it helped lead the investigators to capture this serial killer, serial rapist. So she never got to see that, but I don't know, I find it haunting. And this is called The Point Is, for Michelle McNamara. The point is, I sleep with a knife under my pillow, fingers gripped on the camel bone handle, ready for anything. I sleep with that knife. Perhaps you should have one too, under your pillow. We could be weird and knifey together. We could cringe when the housekeeper finds it. We could both feel safe, finally. Fighting each other's demons, protecting each other's bodies, burrowing each other's fears like termites in the wooden beams, like mice beneath the floorboards, like cancer in the marrow. I know you probably won't, but still, under my pillow sleeps a knife that can speak for both of us. Shine a light in my face at 3 a.m., Golden State motherfucker, or some copycat killer, and you'll bleed the rage of 1,000 sleepless women, just waiting for a reason. And I'll read one more from this collection, maybe a little less angry. Oh, maybe not so less angry. I don't know if you remember Gordon Ramsay's daughter, Tilly Ramsay, was called out by a British talk show host named Steve Allen. He called her a chubby little thing. I think she was on Dancing for the Stars. And that touched, a great nerve in me for the body shaming. So this is called A Woman Witnesses Velvet Shedding. In the woods behind her house, half a mile from the Savannah River, she hears the bellow of a buck. It is rut season. She steps into the world of deer hormones and is startled by the pairing of 2 words, shedding and velvet. Life is a series of odd pairings. Paradox has hardened her some. When the buck's antlers stop growing, losing blood flow, their velvet covering peels off. A velvet shedding madness happens but 100 yards from her bed, its own paradox happening nightly. Could her itch yield new antlers too? She too, a complex trophy as mating ensues under loblolly pines. But rut season means hunting season. Nothing will keep the bolt action rifles from up the deer stand opening weekend. Trail cameras show a trophy buck behind the antlers. Look for the does. Let their estrus work for you. Tonight, she is startled by another act of cruelty, reading about the British radio host Steve Allen atop his platform, the crosshairs of his tongue fixed on chubby little thing, Tilly Ramsey. Let us not forget, taxidermists prepare for every girl. And then just two more. These are from the poet, really a mouthful of a title. It comes from a Columbo episode. I'm sort of a 70s detective show nut. The poet dreams of driving a ding-a-ling ice cream truck and other means of escape. It was an episode with Robert Culp, one of the episodes, and I just love it. Okay, so this poem is really about parenting. My 21-year-old daughter, I love how honest she is, but it can hurt sometimes. She said that that life has been a shit show. That's what she told me. So here we go. Shutting down the shit show. After a 20-year run, this shit show is packing up, leaving town and you, kids, with double-decade memories of us. A pair of flawed people trying to do their best, raising three small humans with needs and minds and voices. You three who had to sit through our bad parenting performances with no intermission, save for a week of summer camp or a marathon sleepover at a friend's house where other parents had much more to offer by way of content, direction, vision, and talent to produce their own show well beyond the record run at the Winter Garden Theater with t-shirts and pins selling at ridiculous prices, while this shit show, your own childhood, closes to no fanfare, and we can only hope you never produce a revival of your own with an unfortunate marriage, a handful of children who sit across the breakfast dais and say, it's been a shit show. And last one, this is a Cigarette Butt Manifesto. There's an unspoken exchange in front of my house each day. My dogs tossing dreadful yaps over our fence like the morning paper, but in reverse, smacking the steady string of pedestrians with a sudden unwelcome racket, terrifying, exasperating. One neighbor barks back. She chucks discount cigarette butts over the gate like it's her personal ashtray. Our yard becomes some nicotine graveyard of lipsticked headstones, a cathedral door of 95 tobacco theses. She struts off, hacking and coughing and turning back like an Orpheus, the same way I turn the page of Ada Limon's The Hurting Kind again. I open its wooden gate, creaking white picket portal, and calm the bark of a terrifying world. I inhale her poems only to litter my gravel heart with such embered phrases. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much for that. You know, your villanelle made me think of a mission that's near and dear to my heart, and that's preaching the word that Ursula is not a villain. I know she wasn't mentioned in there. It was just contract law. And just like rich people do, Rich Daddy came in and saved the day and someone died. But that's a poem for another day. Before I introduce our last and fabulous reader of the evening, I'm just going to do a quick reminder that we have Wild and Precious Life Linktree. That'll get you to our schedule, Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Threads, Blue Sky, all that information. If you are enjoying the Wild and Precious Life series, just share a link about it on social media. That's all I ask. Don't want your money. Just the free publicity helps get people in on the series. Our next reading will be on October 18th. We're doing an evening celebrating Justin Ham's Poetry Baseball Cards project. So we should have a number of readers that night. If you haven't seen that project, it's super cool. It's on Instagram. Just type it in, find it. I was like, damn, I wish I had thought of that. I love a good, unique idea. And if I could go back in time, I would steal Justin's idea from him. But I can't, alas. Our fabulous final reader of the evening is Gregg Shapiro. Full disclosure, is a friend of mine and my former walking buddy when I lived in Wilton Manors. And Gregg, it's been a little weird not walking with you on Tuesday morning. I also have to give a shout out that when I was a baby poet, Gregg was very kind to ask me to read with him. I had no books, and I think my poems were really sort of shitty back then too, if I'm being honest. And he was kind enough to ask me to read with him at a bookstore in Atlanta where I lived and was getting no invites to read. So Gregg, I will never forget that. I'm taking you back to 2016. And I mainly picked this because I know you and it just really resonated with me. And actually, your other half was interviewing you for this article in 2016 and said, I know music and is an important part of your life. Is that why many of your stories feature musical references? Um, and while you do prose and poetry, and I know this is focused on your prose, I also know that music shows up in your poetry. And I know how happy you are after you've been to a concert when we would walk and tell me about it. So that's why I am sharing that today. You had this to say. Music is as important to me as writing. Although I can't sing or play an instrument, music has been essential to me since I was very young. And looking through the book, I was reminded, as you pointed out, of the prominence of music in the stories, beginning with the first one, Autographs, which mainly takes place at, of all places, an Adam and the Ants concert. Also, as an entertainment journalist, I get to share my adoration of music through my music review columns and my interviews with musicians. Mr. Fabulous entertainment journalist, poet, and prose writer, and my friend, thank you for being here tonight. The screen is yours.
That's great. Thank you for that wonderful intro. I'm very grateful. Um, thank you to Dustin, Wild and Precious Life series. Thank you, Alex and Candice, for sharing your work this evening. I'm actually going to start with a poem from an earlier chapbook. We recently lost a very good friend of ours here in the world, but especially here in Florida, Maureen Seaton. And this is a poem that I wrote that was inspired by Maureen. This is a poem called, it's from Sunshine State that Night Ballet Press put out in 2019. Wynwood Walls. Maureen told me about them first in a poem she read at Las Manos Gallery in Andersonville. Her detailed and vivid description made my eyes and mouth water simultaneously. I had to see the Wynwood Walls for myself, these concrete canvases bravely enduring the sun and storms of South Florida. The artists' names, both familiar and new, become part of my vocabulary as I share the mammoth masterpieces with others, like a street docent. This is where we take our visitors from Chicago and Tampa, from Olympia, Washington and Washington, D.C., from Bath, England and Bogota, Colombia. They are as excited as we were when we first saw them, not sure what to do with their hands, mouths agape, as if breathing in the images, all other senses vibrating, swirling like the kaleidoscopic colors of the walls. So the next poems I'm going to be reading are from my new book, which came out this past spring of 2023. It's the fourth book in a series that I'm doing with Souvenir Spoon Books. And so this poem is How You Know You Are in Eastern Tennessee. Maps and atlases swollen with cities and towns ending in ville. A woman with a 1 week old bottle-fed goat kid in an over-the-shoulder baby carrier shopping for baby goat clothes in a thrift store. Churches and steeples, steep grades and runaway truck ramps, mouths wrapped around matchsticks and toothpicks, free Bibles, kitten roadkill, Christian radio on almost every station, pickup trucks, vintage and new, rusty and polished, questionable oral hygiene, unreliable cell phone reception, Jesus fish and Bible quote bumper stickers, and billboards. Livestock behind electric fences. Leashless and collarless dogs roaming the roadsides. Smokers' coughs. White skin, tattoo parlors, and crowded AA meetings. Ancient Dodge caravans with stick figure family decals stretching from one end of the rear window to the other. The scent of barbecue tinting the air. Cautious greetings and hesitant conversation until your church affiliation can be definitively verified by only the most reliable of sources. The next two poems, the book is sort of a book about place. Obviously, that was Tennessee. These next two poems are both Florida poems. And in this first poem, I talk about something called the Orb, which is on South Beach. It's a gigantic egg-shaped structure, pretty high off the ground, that is in between two hotels. So two hotels back up to this egg-shaped thing, which is really just covering a footbridge that connects the two hotels. So I make reference to the Orb in the poem. South Beach Sonnet. The first time you see a blue land crab crossing Ocean Drive, you aren't hungry or curious enough to chase it. But you remember the pale ombre of the claw when it comes time to paint your office or the guest room. It wasn't like the first time you saw the Orb at the Betsy Hotel and couldn't stop dreaming of fluffy omelets, crab meat omelets. All of this comes after the story you tell about finding the crab under the outdoor sink in the backyard, waving or shaking its fist at you, before you ever imagined anything of the sort was possible. You were still getting used to iguanas and egrets, peacocks and palmetto bugs, the occasional legless lizard slithering through the freshly cut grass where you walk the dog. Now you read every menu with suspicion, arch an eyebrow at the daily special descriptions. Consider veganism. So this next poem is called SoFlo Barbie Rescue, and I make reference to a thrift store called Out of the Closet. So that's what I'm talking about there. SoFlo Barbie Rescue. The worst part about living in South Florida isn't elder abuse or vaccine hesitancy, the humidity or hurricanes. It's all the orphaned Barbies in various stages of undress and distress, piled like junkyard cars at American Thrift, Goodwill, and Hadassah Resale. Knotted, discolored, and hacked hair, ink-stained skin, and sharpied pubic region, missing a limb with a double mastectomy. At least the queens who shop at Out of the Closet on Wilton Drive know how to make Barbie feel loved and valued again. Take her home to mid-century architecture and decor. Bathe her in Calgon. Shampoo her damaged locks with Kerastase Discipline Bane Fluid Elise. Massage coconut oil into her cracking scalp. Apply Lancome Hydrozen to her visage. Christian Louboutin silky satin lip color to make her perpetual smirk even more desirable, kissable. Nothing but Chanel Le Vernis tints her finger and toenails. A diminutive white gold Rolex Oyster Perpetual Day Date 36 with diamond paved dial, diamond set bezel, and a diamond set president bracelet wrapped around her slender, tapered wrist. Tiffany Tiffany diamond studs for her ears with matching diamond and platinum pendant for her throat. Dressed to the nines, Stuart Weitzman's Cinderella slippers adorn her perfectly pedicured and arched feet. Only vintage Valentino or Karl Lagerfeld will do when it comes to her gowns, to be worn on the red carpet or picking up a few nibblies at Sprouts. So this is sort of an in-between places poem. This is Later Than Late. Night ticks off silently, a pulse within a pulse, naming the minutes. Ignoring the clock won't make it go away. Waning moon covered by a flap of dark sky, serrated edge of dawn, pleats the pitch above the lake. There is something funny about staying up past your bedtime. The limits we set, allowances we make for more or less. Bargains struck like bells in a clock tower. The next day's light moves in like a lover. Even airplanes in the distance overhead, easily confused with falling stars and shifting planets, sound different, as if the air too was thick with sleep. Someone needs to be on that red eye to somewhere. Blankets of jet lag, recirculated oxygen, destinations uncertain as dreams. The ringing in your ears continues, pure and crooked, an alarm clock, abandoned phone booth, jackhammer, movement into dark places as the night fights to stay afloat above your head. Figures pair off, form uneven paper doll lines or jagged circles. Counting is a convenient method of keeping your eyelids from staying shut too long, inviting sleep. How many intersections from here to there? The length of a song, the money in your pocket, the phone numbers of the dead, the living, the disconnected. And I just have two more poems, so I'm going to read really fast. I thought I'd lighten things up a little bit. This is called How to Flirt. Listen to Doris Day singing, "Once I had a secret love," no more than 214 times a day, or an amount equal to your heartbeat on an especially loathsome or love-soaked Valentine's Day when you were 9 or 19 years old. Avoid singing or humming Que Sera like a cheating ex. Otherwise, whatever will be, won't be. Bat your eyes, but try not to think about baseball bats, Christian Bale as Batman, vampire bats, or batty old ladies like Aunt Clara on Bewitched. Be bewitching without twitching or casting an irreversible spell. Spell it out in letters big enough to read from a great distance. Keep your distance from boxes of chocolates, bouquets of flowers, anything associated with allergies and fevers of the flesh. Flesh out as much as you can about his past, your past lives lived among roaming tribes, romantic royalty, plundering pirates or tricky tricks. Obsess over his handsome profile on social media sites you wouldn't ordinarily frequent without an experienced guide, instruction manual, or some form of protection. Frequently check your breath, your pulse, your email and phone, your hair, and anything reflective, with the exception of his mirrored sunglasses. Dress for sex, for success, to impress. Don't forget to wear clean underwear. Remember what your mother told you about reckless drivers and crosswalks. Cross with the light, cross your heart and hope to die of embarrassment if he ever sees you crossing your heart. Hide the doodles, the scrawled hearts on binders and spiral notebook covers containing the swirly equation of your initials in a place so secure that even you have trouble remembering where it is. Cover your ass. Remember, he doesn't even know you're alive. And this is the last poem. Thank you again to Dustin. Thank you all for listening. I love you all for listening. So I've been writing poetry for I'll say it like this. I've been writing poetry for longer than Dustin has been alive. That's a long time for me to be writing poetry. And so I've never before written two poems with the same title. But as it turns out, the title of this poem, Spirit of 76, is also the title of the poem that I have in Dustin and Julie's Dolly Parton anthology. This is a different Spirit of 76. If I kept a diary in 1976, the pages would glow as brightly and ominously as the sky on the cover of Hotel California, hot as a mafia car bombing. Too busy to write it all down, I danced in brightly colored underwear in my shared bedroom to songs in the key of life, lip syncing to every number on songs for the New Depression. For pocket money, I found a job at Maxwell Plums, where I hourly vacuumed the mauve carpeting, stocked the shelves and racks with the latest in suburban women's fashions. I got better at pretending not to notice when one of the two brothers who co-owned the business emerged from the office with a coke-flowered mustache. I know I'm gay, but they? When I grew tired of the subtle abuse and coked-up rages, I sought new employment at the county seat, the blue jeans store, not the government agency. Here is a list of what I fell in love with. The music on WXRT that played from the ceiling-mounted speakers. Learning how to be a window dresser. The computerized cash register. The diversity of denim. What an employee discount can do to a paycheck. My manager, Mike's MG midget, and the rides home after closing. I know I'm gay, but does he? We go to the same high school, and I want to be his prom date, but that will have to wait for another century. When we go to see A Star is Born, I have to hide my tears, but he doesn't hide his boredom. I know better than to talk about Mary Hartman, while we're folding 501s, both soft pre-washed and stiff unwashed, putting turtlenecks and Levi's jackets on hangers. I want to kiss him in each of the dressing rooms, 2 pairs of feet visible below the swinging louvered doors. Listen to the erotic pop of his button fly. I know I'm gay, shiny and new as a bicentennial quarter. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. So everyone, if you enjoyed the Bottom Precious Life series tonight, which I'm sure you did, please just give some shout outs on social media about it. Again, word of mouth is the best way. Hope you'll come back on October 18th for a celebration of Justin Ham's Poetry Baseball Project. And just to clarify, I'm 23, so Greg has obviously only been writing poems for 23 years and a few months, since he said longer than I've been alive. But thank you so much for being here. I know COVID cases are kicking back up, so please be safe out there, mask up, and make good decisions. And I hope to see you on October 18th. Have a great night, everybody.